Hello, I'm Sally Stanton and welcome to a bite-sized bonus episode of Snacks and Suitcases. And today we hone in on Emma Watkins' passion for weaving sign language into the Emma Memma shows.
Mom, can I pack all my teddies?
Okay, let's get started. When I sat down with Emma, we covered so much. Travel, life on tour, amazing race, and all that juicy fun stuff. But there was a whole part of our conversation that felt a little separate from the travel chat. And I didn't want to rush past it. I wanted to give it more time. And it's all about how sign language is integrated into her shows, how kids who are deaf or hard of hearing experience music, whether that's through movement, rhythm, vibration, and how Emma is really leaning into that and learning as she goes. So this episode is a bit of an extended cut from our main chat. And I think if you have deaf children or know someone in the deaf community, or you're just curious about how music and performance can be experienced in different ways, you'll find this bonus episode really interesting. Enjoy. Where did your love for sign language come from?
At school, at primary school, my best friend in my class, she had two deaf brothers, and so they were attending a deaf school. So we would drop her home so that her mum could pick up the boys, and then we would all meet together and then hang out. And so my exposure to sign language was fairly early. I was pretty young. I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and it felt pretty organic to me. I didn't really think anything of it. I just knew that I had to use my face and my body to express myself, to, hang out with them. And then over time, I learnt a very, basic level of sign language to interact with them. And it was always fun hanging out with them. And then I just became such a lazy learner, but I gradually ended up meeting other deaf members of the community, and that's what made me frustrated, was that I couldn't express myself to the ability that I could use English. And I think that frustration is probably one of the key catalysts for people to learn sign, because you get to a point where you know a basic level and then you're like, how do I say this? And I still have that struggle today.
You're signing Auslan.
Yes.
So when you're performing overseas, like in Canada, are they doing the same sign language?
No. And so the thesis and Emma Memma policy or principles, I guess, is rooted in Auslan, absolutely. And I think our songs have come around because of those signs. So a very Auslan heavy choreography song that we had on our first album was a song called Green Plane. And so you can imagine making a plane with your hand. So you make a fist with your 3 middle fingers and your pinky finger and your thumb stick out like plane wings. That hand shape is the sign for plane, and that's pretty universal. But then the sign for green in some states in Australia is the same hand shape, and you sway it across your forehead. So we made the song called Green Plane. But in America, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
does it mean something?
We just wouldn't perform that song in a North American place. But there are so many songs that we create for Emma Memma that have more universal visual language, and that tends to be more of our goal. And as we grow with Emma Memma, we actually do signs that are more universal, like the sign for Emma Memma, which is butterfly, and butterfly, that sign is used with most sign languages around the world. But we had an amazing opportunity to travel to Singapore last year, and they use Singaporean Sign Language, which has a basis of ASL, which is American Sign Language. And then the principle of how we create Emma Memma means that even though we know it in Auslan, we can now translate that very quickly into another sign language. So Elvin and I then learnt the ASL versions for our show last year to then perform in Singapore, which went down a treat. And we had deaf people come and visit the show, and they really appreciated us translating it in Singaporean Sign Language. And we learned a lot. I don't think we've nailed it, but it certainly was a good experience.
I was wondering if you had interpreters on the side of the stage for your sign language.
Yes.
In there.
We do.
Oh, you do as well, like you would with speaking.
Yeah, and Here as well. Yeah. So we actually, and I guess it's two audiences. So, and it's something that we're still refining. We provide an Auslan interpreter in Australia for every Emma Memma show. And that interpreter stands on the side of the stage. The only show we've not had an interpreter was literally 2 days ago when the interpreter was sick in Burnie. That was sadness. But Elvin and I actually signed the whole show anyway, so it doesn't matter. But that interpreter is mostly being very particular about signing, obviously, everything that Elvin and I are doing, particularly my English when it is a level of English for an adult. But what we love about Emma Memma is that my co-performer Elvin is profoundly deaf, and instead of having him stand on the side, which he's not an interpreter in this sense, he's the main performer. So we want him to stand next to me on the stage so that when a child is watching the show, they're not watching the interpreter. They want to watch what's happening there in front of them and part of the show. Yeah. So Elvin actually is the child point of contact in the show. And so when he signs, it's very expressive. I mean, of course it's expressive with the interpreter as well, but it's a different way of expressing the show. It is artistic, it's creative, it's fun, it's engaging. And that actually is not just for the deaf child, that's for all children. But you see so many deaf children visit the show and instantly connect with Elvin, and there is a very special connection between deaf people, and for a deaf child to see Elvin because of the way that he uses his face and his body, it's not like us. It's not. There's a different connection, and it's amazing to watch.
This is the doctorate being played out on the stage, isn't it? The PhD.
I wish I could talk about this more, but it's it's the true beauty of our show, which is this underlying texture, and we don't get to do that in the live show because everyone's like, "Quick, let's dance." So
you must be getting some great feedback.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we can see that's the reason why there is that connection to Elvin as a character and the connection to the show as a whole, because now our whole team has a basic level of sign language. And interestingly, yesterday in Adelaide, we had a deaf grandma who I've met at the shopping centre, like maybe 3 years ago. I was doing a meet and greet. She didn't have her grandchildren with her, and she came up to me and she didn't realise I signed, and we had this a beautiful conversation. She's like, "I can't believe you signed. This is amazing." I was like, "Yeah, you should come to the Emma Memma show." She's like, "I've got grandchildren." I was like, "Bring them along." Her grandchildren are hearing, but they signed too. Anyway, 3 years later, she's come to the show. This was her first Emma Memma show yesterday, and we had a great chat. And she met Elvin, and they were having a conversation. And then at the end of the show, she went out to the merchandise desk where my sister was, because she creates all the merch and she sells it, and she just is so beautiful with people. And her and another girl that was selling, she came up to the desk, and she, I guess there is a bit of anxiety about communicating in any kind of situation. And our girls signed to her straight away, and she was taken aback because she'd never experienced that end-to-end, service, that from our merch desk to the stage to our Auslan interpreter, that sign language is a part of the team, the fabric of our team. And apparently she was like overwhelmed and a bit teary. I was like, "Oh, that's perfect. That's what we want. We want people to feel like they can come to the show and sign to us, and we'll be ready."
That is so beautiful. Are you the only performer in the world doing something like this?
I mean, it is interesting. I have a deaf mentor in America, and he is a director of a big deaf theatre company in LA called Deaf West, and he and I have been in touch maybe for about 15 years. And I look up to him because what he does is incredibly forward thinking. And that company is a company that has been created for deaf actors and deaf talent, but they perform musicals and fully fledged theatre productions with half deaf and half hearing cast all the time. All the time. So he does, and I can't even cope with when I see those productions because it is such a fluid integration of deaf and hard of hearing and hearing actors, but it's on a different level. So their language and translation is incredibly complex. But when he and I chat, he's like, yeah, but you're the only person that's doing it in a preschool space in a 100% integrated way. And so it is weird. Yeah. We're the only children's show that is accessible visually from start to finish, and that we have deaf performers perform with us, obviously predominantly Elvin, but we have had other deaf and hard of hearing performers in our cast. And I hope that in the future that's my goal, to have more deaf talented actors and performers be part of Emma Memma. But yeah, we're the only ones.
It blows my mind. Like, I've got so many questions about this that I probably should ask you later. But one I just do want to ask. So the deaf performers, can they feel the beat? Or is it all a visual cue when it comes to music and performing?
I mean, vibration is a huge part of musical experience, and it can be one of the most physical ways and tactile ways to feel rhythm. And there are amazing festivals, Ability Fest by Dylan Alcott in Australia. There's a whole, a company has basically given the vibration haptic vests that people can wear to watch the festival, and it is timed I've never been to the festival, but I am hanging to go. But I've seen so much and I've been told so much about that experience of wearing the haptic vest and watching a festival. And, if you have, it wouldn't really matter any range of hearing, but for deaf members and hard of hearing members that want to experience that at the same time, that's incredible. And that is happening. That is 100% happening in this country and overseas. But most of the time when we perform, the stage is concrete. So for a deaf performer on the same stage as us, that music is not coming through the floor at all. And it's one of the number one questions that Elvin gets, do you focus on that vibration in the show? And his answer, and I don't want to talk on behalf of him, but most of the time when I've seen him, respond to this question, he's like, no. He's looking at my cue and the cue of the team. So the way that Emma Memma is built and the research is that we have developed a process that is a whole series of cues that creates this integrated experience for Elvin, so that he's not following the music really at all. But it is amazing what he experiences as a body connection to me, doing the songs over and over and over and over again, and it just becomes muscle memory. So he actually knows the rhythm to all of our songs, particularly the early ones like "Hello, how are you? Hi, hello." Like, that's a pretty weird rhythm, but he actually knows that rhythm. And then when I teach him a new song, you can see that he's like, oh, my body doesn't understand that yet. But then you wait, like in a week or two, it's like straight in, and it's unbelievable. And I think that's the excitement about this tour now. We're doing a new tour called the Jungle Picnic Tour. It's got all these new songs. Elvin's never heard them, never will. But the more that we dance together, then instantly, like in the last week, he's like, oh yeah, I understand Watermelon Please now. I'm like, yeah, I can see it. I can see when he knows what that rhythm is, and we work together daily to find that match.
Emma Watkins is such a joy to chat to. She is so inspiring. And wow, the only person in the world integrating sign language into creative performance in a preschool space. She's just blazing trails yet again, and I'm sure there's much more to come from Emma in the future. If you missed the full episode, go back and have a listen. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget, Emma is touring Australia with shows all the way through to October 2026. Tickets are linked in the show notes, along with a link to Dylan Alcott's Ability Fest and the Deaf West Theatre in LA. Enjoyed this bonus episode? A quick review really helps. Got questions for upcoming guests? We've got pilots, cabin crew, Japan, Bali, anything to do with traveling with kids. Send them through to Snacks and Suitcases podcast at gmail.com or on Instagram at Snacks and Suitcases podcast. Next week, I'm learning more about tiny eco houses. completely off-grid. Yup, it's a screen-free holiday for the kids. But until then, happy travels.
And don't forget the snacks.